Hello YouTube, my name is Isabella and it is the beginning of May. Words are fun. It's the beginning of May. It's time for my TBR Chronicles. I spin a wheel. It helps me pick out prompts. As always, links to people I've drawn inspiration from are down in the description below. And yeah, we're just going to get into it today. I really hate these eyelashes. I hate them so much. This is what we get when we try experimenting with makeup and things we've never tried before. I hate these, but I did not have the time to try and take them off and do something else, so we're sticking with it. Okay, April was actually really an interesting month. It was the first month I had a punishment. I had to read every single morning. Can I tell you how difficult that has been? I am not a morning person. I hate waking up, but I did it for the most part. Because I always told myself that my punishments would end when I finished my TBR, so I did read every morning until I finished my TBR, which was April 20th, and then I did some in the morning and sometimes I didn't because I was just so exhausted, but I completed the task. We're good. And that brings me on to mention, I had 9 books on my TBR and smashed that. I finished everything by April 20th, so I've read all of these books plus the 2 ebooks that I had to read, which made me really, really happy. And we're going to see what May has in store for me. We're going to keep the intro nice and short. I have my tracker, and we're going to replace the first prompt. And I guess just do it. I'm excited. This is the first time I've been excited to film this, so we'll see how well this goes. But my first prompt is adult. The only thing I really don't want is seasonal read, my red pick, because not only is it red, what do you choose for spring other than contemporaries? And I'm not feeling contemporaries in the moment. I want fantasy, so we'll see how well this goes. Spin number 1. Buzzworthy. I do this every single time when there are plans outside of just my TBR. There are 2 readathons I want to participate in. I want to participate in with Cindy's Asian readathon. That one, there's a couple loose prompts you can follow, but essentially you're just meant to read a bunch of books by different Asian authors with different ethnicities, which I'm excited to do so, and I already have a couple books that I would like to squeeze onto the TBR for that. And there's also one called Do the Thingathon. I'll have everything linked down below. It's fun because it's like more based on your goals and you don't have very specific prompts. You kind of set the prompts yourself. So that sounds really fun. It's going to be towards the end of May, so hopefully most of my TBR will be finished and I can actually focus on one of the goals that I've set myself, but we'll see when that happens. That was ridiculously difficult trying to mash books I already had on my radar, books I have to read, books for the Asian readathon, books off my TBR, because again, we're always trying to do that. This was a hard thing to balance. It took me a long time, and I think I've come up with a happy medium. I'm very quickly going to go through what these books are about or why I'm reading them, because I think this video is going to be nightmarishly long. But number 1, I got buzzworthy. Essentially that means anything that I thought got sufficient buzz around its time of release or has been buzzed about a lot, and I ended up choosing Miracle Creek by Angie Kim. This I'm using for the Asian readathon. Angie Kim is Korean, and it got a lot of really good buzz. This is like a literary courtroom thriller that a lot of people talked very highly of, and I'm interested to give it a try. It's on my list of 20 books to read in 2020. Apparently, this is very heavily triggering, has very heavily triggering content and material regarding autism, so be careful if you're going to read it, but I'm very interested in it. There was a lot of really good buzz when this book came out. I'm excited. So prompt number 2 is going to be recent purchase. Interesting. So on to spin number 2. Let's fix that. Oh my god. Avoiding near disaster, spin number 2. Let's go. Spin number 2 was a used book, and this was shockingly difficult for me to find because all the books that I was considering or books that I thought I bought used were technically purchased from Book Outlet, like back in the day. So I ended up going with The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. This is a book I also really want to read. It's also on my list of 20 books to read in 2020. So I figured, you know what, let's squish it on there. I know that this is actually like grimdark fantasy following very unlikable, dislikable characters, and I'm interested to give Joe Abercrombie a shot. On to prompt number 3. I'm gonna choose this guy, Novella. Always great. Ready? Okay, spin number 3 in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so for recent purchase, there was nothing really other than this next book I'm going to show you that was calling my name, so I just figured, you know what, let's go with it, and that's 21 Things You May Not Know About the Indian Act, Helping Canadians Make Reconciliation with Indigenous Peoples a Reality by Bob Joseph. That is exactly what it sounds like. It's nonfiction. I bought it just in April. I want to keep with my nonfiction journey, and this is the next one on the docket. I'm interested in reading it. I know I'm physically going to have... Words are fun. I know I'm going to physically read this because I don't think my library has the audiobook, but I'm very interested to give this a shot. Now my board is not looking so great. That's okay. We're going to pick from here. Booktube fave. Let's see. Let's just hope like get out of this section and get here. That would be a nice change. What the fuck? I maybe didn't make my wheel perfectly because that's almost 3 in a row of orange. For spin 4, there was no other option for me to choose when I got Booktube fave, and that's Jade War by Fonda Lee. I'm finally doing it. I kind of put off reading Jade War even though I've already read Jade City twice because this book kind of kept getting pushed back and there wasn't like an official release date. I think we've finally got it for November, December, so it's coming. I'm excited. I'm terrified to read this book. Fonda Lee is Chinese and also Canadian, which was exciting for me to find out. It's time for me to read this book. I'm excited. I'm nervous. I think I'm gonna love it. I love Jade City so much. I have a review for it if you're interested, but love this book. Love Jade City. Excited for this book. I would love to have something outside of like 2 colors that I'm spinning. Anyway, sci-fi. If it gets another orange, I may riot and then also cheat because it's getting boring at this point. But spin number 5 I'm on? Yeah, spin 5. Please something different. I have a major headache, which is making me not sound very coherent at the moment. My apologies. Spin number 5 was first in a series, and for fuck's sake, this was so hard to find something. Every book I wanted to read was either a standalone or like standalone fantasy. Like it was so difficult for me to pick something out, and then I finally found or remembered I Have Blood Like Magic by Lizelle Sambury. This is an arc that I have to read. It's a dark urban fantasy set in Toronto, which is really exciting for me. She is a teen witch who is given the horrifying task of sacrificing her first love. The only problem is she's never been in love. So I think she finds a guy and she's like, I'm gonna fall in love with you and then I'm gonna kill you. And it's a series, so I finally found something that matched that prompt. It's an arc I have to read, so I'm glad about that. I have a couple other arcs I have to get to soon, but I couldn't squeeze them on the TBR, but I guess that's not super relevant. All right. Picking another prompt. Contemporary. I don't want a contemporary. All right. Spin number 6 of 9 so far. Orange. Sci-fi. I think there's something wrong with my wheel. I might have to look into it after filming this. Am I sticking with this? Sure am, but it's getting annoying. Spin number 6, I got sci-fi, and there was nothing that I wanted to read. There was no sci-fi that I wanted to pick up, and I was kind of like scratching my head there for a second, and then I eventually decided I'm going to finally read This Is How You Lose the Time War by Max Gladstone and Amal El Motar. And I'm only saying the author's ethnicities because of like the Asian readathon. I would like to make that clear, but anyway, she is Lebanese and Canadian. All these Canadian authors I'm just discovering. It's been a fun day. I am nervous about this book because I think I could really love it or absolutely hate it. I don't know which version I'm going to read. If I'm just gonna like buy the book or try and listen to the audio. Not entirely sure of my plans on that yet. It's about two rival spies in a time war who also are like falling in love with each other and are sending each other letters. It sounds wild, but it's definitely sci-fi, and I'm very interested to read it. All right, I want a good prompt. Fantasy. Yes. Okay. That makes up for it a little bit. I wouldn't be mad if I spun another orange now, but it's not very interesting if everything you spin is orange. Or I spin, you know what I mean. Spin 7. Let's get something good. Let's get something different, please. Anyway. I think I'm being punked. My next spin, I got fantasy, and I'm finally reading Blood Witch. I had been rereading the first 2 books and to get up to Blood Witch and the next book, which comes out next month. And I'm so excited to do it. I've been like jonesing to read it, but I've had to kind of like wait because I've been doing it 1 a month. I'm so excited to read this. This is the 3rd book in the Witchland series. I'm loving the direction. Really loved my reread so far, and I'm excited to finally continue on in the series. I'm excited. Yay. We're going to pick the next prompt. Middle grade. Ooh, I actually have a couple things I could read for that. All right. Anything different? I would love to get this dark blue one. Brewster is my dog. It just means my dog would get to pick it, and I think that would be really cute. But have I managed to land on that in months? Absolutely not. So at this point in time, I don't care. Spin 8. Red. Seasonal read. I don't want to seasonal read. So my next prompt, I really had to stretch because it was seasonal read and it was spring, and I don't know necessarily what you associate with spring. I couldn't really come up with anything. Usually I can pick some stuff with like wintry vibes, fall vibes, even summery vibes. With spring, I was like, I don't know. So I ended up going with spring colors and I chose A Crown of Wishes by Rashni Chakshi. This is a book I've been intending to read for years now, and there's a whole lot of green on this, so I'm counting it as springish. It's my channel, my rules, my game. We're bending the rules today. Rashni Chakshi is both Filipino and Indian, so also counts for the Asian readathon, and I've just been intending to finish this for a long time. It's a spin-off from the Star-Touched Queen, which I liked but didn't love. I'm glad it's a spin-off because I don't really remember that much from Star-Touched Queen. But I'm excited to read this book, possibly read it via audio, I think. All right, picking a prompt again for a new release. This would be actually lovely to get because I have some arcs to read. No orange, please. For contemporary, I really wasn't feeling like actually just reading a straight up contemporary book, so I ended up picking Sea Prayer by Claude Hissini. Claude Hissini is an Afghan, author, and he frequently writes about Afghanistan. This one is him explaining the refugee crisis to his child. It's incredibly short. I've been putting it off because I know it's going to be very, very upsetting. It actually talks about the Syrian refugee crisis in here, and he's explaining it to his child. So I think it's going to be very upsetting, but definitely worth reading. I've put this book off for too long, so I'm glad I have the opportunity to read it now. Literally nothing I want to read is fitting on the list. I know you've already seen most of my TBR at this point, and I've probably finagled something, but man, is this getting annoying. My final one, ARC, okay, I would like to get that because that would also help, but we'll see. Okay, please, final spin. The only bad one would be dark blue for me to spin again. That means my dog would get to pick it, and I would take that L so you could see my dog pick my next read, but it's fine. Okay, final spin, hopefully. Orange, middle grade. Why not? Oh my god. This is so dumb. I'm mad. Alright. So my final spin, the spin that broke the camel's back, literally my stupid thing is broken at this point in time, I'm gonna have to try and fix it, was middle grade, and I'm finally going to be rereading Nevermore by Jessica Townsend. I read this in 2017. So it's been almost 4 years, and I really would like to continue on with the series, but I remember nothing, literally nothing about this. And I know my library has the audiobook available, so I figured I could reread it and continue on in the series. This is a very magical, whimsical tale that gets comped a lot to like the feeling that people got when reading Harry Potter as children. So I'm hoping to get those feels without also subsequently feeling very sad. So these are all the books I intend to read for May. It was an interesting TBR. I kind of broke my wheel and I'm quite annoyed by that. But let me know down in the comments below what you will be reading in the month of May. All of the things I mentioned will be linked down below. I know I talked about a lot of stuff in quick succession, links to the readathons, links to creators, all that kind of stuff. But as always, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'll see you again soon. Bye.